Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mindful Journeys. I'm glad you could join us here today for our asana practice. If you watch the other two videos, the wisdom talk and the meditation, you'll know that I'm doing a three-part series each week that involves three parts: the wisdom talk, the meditation, and the asana practice. And so each week we'll have a theme, and this week's theme is unresolved issues. So you may want to jump back to the wisdom talk first and do that, and then either do the meditation or this practice, or you can really start at any place in the journey. So we have a little bit of everything for you: a journaling, and reflection piece, the meditation and the yoga for reprogramming the problems that we're trying to solve. So if you haven't had a chance to go to my website yet, it's mindfuljourneys.biz, and you can find some one-on-one counseling opportunities, couples counseling, and I'll also be offering some classes that will be posted a bit later. We're going to be doing a class called Mastering Your Mind. So you can check back with us each week to see where we are in the course of developing that class for you. So today's theme, as I mentioned, is unresolved journeys, and we're going to get started in a comfortable seated position. So for some of us, that may mean cross-legged. Other people may want to sit on their knees or use a cushion or a block. This is a gentle practice. If you need some props, you can go ahead and pause the video and grab your props. But I won't be using any props today. So we'll just begin by closing our eyes and placing our arms on top of our knees. And we'll start with the box breath, the 4-part breath, by drawing in the breath for 4 counts, holding it for 4 counts, releasing it for 4 counts, and pausing at the bottom for 4 counts. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Release for 4 counts. And hold for 4 counts. We'll do that one more time. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale for 4 counts. And pause for 4 counts. Now go ahead and draw your breath all the way in and release it out your mouth. We're just clearing our body and mind to get started on the practice today. Leaving your eyes closed if you wish, I want you to picture in your mind's eye an unresolved issue that you've been having in your life. It could be with a person, a conflict, a friend or a partner. It could be a situation that you're going out a lot, and not sure how to resolve this issue. I want you to just call that up in your mind. It's often these unresolved issues that we spend a great portion of the day thinking about, when we could be possibly thinking about something more productive, right? And we'd like to resolve these issues, let them go, and move on. So today's practice will be dedicated to working towards that letting go. Now, research has shown that it takes 21 days to work through something and reprogram our thoughts and beliefs. So you may find yourself returning to this series of videos again and again for those 21 days. So to get started, now that we have our issue kind of brought up in our mind, we're going to go ahead and draw our arms over our head, and then draw your hands to the heart center in prayer. On the in-breath, again, circle those arms overhead, drawing down on the out-breath, bringing your hands all the way to prayer. We'll do this 2 more times on your own. Now, if you're familiar with yoga, of course, you'll know the Ujjayi breath, which begins by drawing in the breath and then exhaling through the back of the throat with the mouth closed. It sounds like this. Now, sometimes I really have a lot of breath to distribute, right? There's a lot to get out of there. So I'll take that breath, instead of holding it in the back of my throat, I'll sigh it out just to really let things go. So if at any time during the practice you feel that you need that extra kick and you want to, open your mouth to release the breath, please feel free to do so. Go ahead and take your hand over to the side of your mat and reach your other hand over the top of your head, stretching out the side body long, feeling that stretch throughout the side body and the lower ribs. Maybe angle your pinky finger towards your head so that opening your back body and really getting into your shoulder. Go ahead and touch that arm down and just go do the other side, drawing that other arm all the way up to the top, reaching over your head, turning your pinky a little bit to really get into that shoulder area. Try to twist your heart kind of towards the top, so that it's kind of looking at the ceiling and opening up your heart space. And then we'll go ahead and bring your arm back down. We'll repeat this again, one more time, both sides. Really feeling that side body stretch. You might even feel a little bit along your hips. And down, and one more time to the other side. And back down again. So bringing your hands back to your heart center, I want you to call up that emotion that was associated with the story that you've been telling yourself. It may be a negative emotion, and that's why you're probably not able to move on forward and let that go. So let's go ahead and work through this practice. Do the hard work in this practice to let that go. You'll feel it in your body with the physical practice, and we'll be letting it go at the end of the practice. So just as the hard work of the practice sinks in, then you'll be able to let that hard work go and enter a more joyful state. So go ahead and get onto your hands and knees. And we're going to start in tabletop. Go ahead and arch your back, stretch your heart towards the front of your mat as you draw your breath in. And then as you exhale, pull the belly up, stretching like a cat all the way, picturing your back touching the ceiling. Get a really good stretch in there. Let's do that 2 more times. Pushing your chest forward as you inhale and exhale, drawing that belly in and up, arching your back. And one more time. Exhaling it all out. Now here I want you to let your head dangle a little and circle your neck, kind of shake it yes and no. A lot of us have tension in our necks, our shoulders, as a result of the stress that we're under. And so this stretch is just really good to get rid of that stress. Go ahead and draw yourself back into child's pose. I like to open my legs a little so that I have a little bit more room. Stretch those arms forward, and as you're bending down, you could use a block, or you can place your forehead on the ground, and we'll just take 5 deep breaths in child's pose. And while you're here in your first child's pose, you're going to picture that unresolved issue that we started with at the beginning of the class. What kind of feelings or emotions come up for you? In our wisdom talk, we had Kara, and Kara could not find a job, and she was doing everything she could to sabotage her ability to find a job. And this wasn't because she didn't want to get another job, but because her unresolved issue took its root in feelings that she was not worthy and that she was not good enough or not smart enough to find that job. And so she was procrastinating and wasn't able to do what it took because she needed to get rid of those root issues. So I would like you to go ahead, and we're going to do a little bit of a flow through tabletop, down into a cobra. Draw your shoulders back and think about your situation and what might be the story that you're telling yourself. And then draw back into child's pose while you're thinking about the story that you're telling yourself about this issue you have. Kara was telling herself that she was not good enough for a job. And she's not going to be able to get a job until she releases that thought. So as we're going through this flow from child's pose into cobra, I want you to think about that root cause. Maybe you're not feeling loved. Maybe you're feeling alone. Maybe you're feeling unworthy. See if you can find the root cause of that unresolved issue as we flow back and forth from child's pose into cobra. And one more time into child's pose. And then forward into cobra and lower all the way down on the mat, drawing your arms in front of you for Sphinx pose. So for those of you that are beginners or new to yoga, in order to discover how far you want your arms to be out, you just simply grab your inner arms, and that'll be the distance from which you stretch your arms out in front of you. So kind of pivoting from your elbows out to the front, into your Sphinx pose. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. And then lower all the way down to the ground. Go ahead and make a nest for your chin, or you can twist your head to the side. And as you are laying here to the side, you're going to take your right leg up, drawing it up towards the sky. Point the toe, feel the inner rotation of the thigh. And then release it all down. On the inhale, draw up the left leg, pointing that toe, tightening it, tightening your entire leg, feeling the tension, and then release everything down. Let's do this 2 more times. Draw that leg up towards the sky and release. Left side again and release. Last time, drawing the right leg up and release. And the left leg and release. Go ahead and bend your legs so they're pointing up towards the sky, and then we're going to just windshield wiper back and forth to release that lower back. And then set your legs down and draw your arms behind you, interlinking your thumbs together. And you're going to peel your shoulders off the mat as you stretch that heart out towards the sky. And if you want to, you can lift your toes off the floor and then exhale everything to the ground. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale as you draw everything up, reaching that heart space, drawing your shoulder blades down your back, and then releasing everything down to the mat. And as you draw that heart space up this time, I want you to think of one good reason that the story you have been telling yourself cannot possibly be true. And go ahead and release. Let's do some more of those windshield wipers back and forth to release our lower back. And then go ahead and push back up into tabletop. If you're able, go ahead and tuck your toes under and sit back. This can be a hard pose for some people because it's a deep ankle stretch, right? We're not used to sitting this way. So if it's uncomfortable for you at all, you can just simply bring your toes down to the mat. So if it is comfortable, we're just going to hold this pose for a few minutes while we clasp our hands and roll them around in a circle, going one way and then the other. Now go ahead and reach both arms up to the sky. Make sure they're tight and tense and reaching as far as you can. And then we're going to go ahead and lower them. Place them down on the mat, release your toes, and we're going to circle our right arm up and above our head. Really get into that shoulder joint. And then head in the other direction. So if you were going clockwise, go counterclockwise. We are the stories that we tell ourselves. Those are very powerful words. Go ahead and reverse. If you really think about those stories that you're telling yourself. Are they true? Can you know with 100% certainty that those stories are true? Probably not. So, let's go ahead and reach our legs out in front of us into staff pose. Place your hands behind you and press into the mat as far as you can, thrusting that chest out, drawing those shoulder blades down your back. Then, keeping that position, just go ahead and lift those arms up to the sky. And fold over your legs. You can use a strap around your feet. You could place your hands on your shins or your thighs. And we're just going to be reaching down. Maybe you can catch your toes. Keep your back flat as you're stretching your heart forward. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and release all the way down. Dropping the head, rounding the back. Let's take a deep breath in. And exhale it all out. So if we can't know with 100% certainty that our stories are true, then they don't need to rule our lives. We can reprogram them. So I want you to think of an instance in which that story you're telling yourself is not true. In our wisdom talk, we talked about Kara, and she discovered that the story she was telling herself about not being good enough to get a job was actually not true, and she came up with 3 pieces of evidence. The first piece is that she had given a presentation at her previous job that everyone loved and praised her for. The second piece of evidence that she came up with was that she had pitched an idea to her team, and her team had really liked the idea and they had moved forward with it. And the third piece of evidence that she came up with that went against her story that she was not good enough and she was not smart enough was that she got a good evaluation from her boss when it was time for her performance review. So those pieces of evidence counteracted the story that she had been telling herself. Go ahead and release. Draw your arms up to the sky. And bring your hands to heart center. Let's go ahead and take a butterfly pose by bringing the soles of our feet together. Drawing them in towards our groin area. And then we're going to just sit up tall, hug those shoulders back, roll them down, maybe roll them out a little bit, release some of that tension. Let's do a few neck rolls. And then turn to the other side. Now I want you to take a deep breath in. Sigh it all out. One more deep breath in. Lifting your shoulders. And as you release the breath, go ahead and bend over your legs to your own degree. Starting out with a flat back, you should feel the base of your spine elongating as you draw that heart towards your toes. Flattening out your back, tilting slightly forward on the pelvic region. And then go ahead and release everything down, rounding out your back as you exhale. When Kara had thought of those stories that contradicted her own, she was beginning to feel like maybe she was good enough and that she was smart enough. And with those thoughts, those pieces of evidence that she had called up in her life, she had the sense of happiness for the first time. She wasn't feeling anxious and depressed about the loss of her job. She began to feel like maybe she could get another job. Let's take one more breath here. And release the breath as you slowly rise up. And let's just do a tabletop, reverse tabletop to stretch out our backs. Just draw your buttocks off the floor, pushing into your arms, lifting that belly towards the sky. Imagine how Kara felt when she discovered her stories were not true. See if you can discover why your stories are not true and draw that feeling. What is that feeling? Is it joy, contentment, happiness, bliss? Go ahead and lower it down to the mat. And we'll take ourselves into a wide-legged forward fold. Go ahead and place your right arm on the right leg and lift your left arm over. You'll be mirroring me as you gently get into that side stretch. Again, turning that pinky finger so that it's facing toward your head. And then watch how I just open and lift my heart. And on the exhale, go ahead and lower that arm, and we'll do the other side. Get a nice deep body stretch. And once you have your stretch, you can then breathe deeply in, and on the exhale, open that heart up towards the sky. Sinking into that pose as you draw that feeling of joy deeper into your entire body. And then release everything down. Go ahead and draw those hands to your heart. And then shoot them out in front of you as you walk your fingers forward. We don't have to go all the way down to get the benefits of this pose. You may want to flex your feet and make sure that your knees are pointing up so that your joints are in alignment. And take a deep breath in. Let your whole back body rise. And as you exhale, draw yourself a little bit further down. And it's with these little micro movements, the inhale and then the exhale, to draw ourselves down deeper. These micro movements tell the stories of our lives, right? Kara is not going to be able to go out and get a job just because she did this work today. It's going to take some time, but it's little micro movements that move us forward through our lives, step by step, moment by moment, day by day, that make us progress through those challenging times. Take one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, draw everything up and draw your legs to a close. And we are going to end today back in a seated position. So whatever comfortable seat that is for you. I want you to go ahead and draw that breath in and exhale it out. And then if you're feeling comfortable, close your eyes and think about the story that you heard today about Kara, and think about your own life, and think about how in each moment you can think of an example of why that story is not true for you. And the more pieces of evidence you can give your conscious mind, the more you will start to believe the story is not true. so I want you to leave here today with the feeling that you can move through your challenges just by examining those stories, drawing them out of the subconscious mind into the conscious, and reprogramming them to suit your own needs in a more positive and blissful way. Thank you for your practice today. Namaste.